I'm Jeremy Snyder. I'm the VP of Community and Operations for Metaversum. We're a Berlin-based company, and we have a virtual world called Twinity that's more or less a mirror world. We have take a lot of elements of the real world and mash them up with a virtual world environment.
What excites you most about the technology?
I think what excites me most is that there's still so much potential. Really, even with things that are mature technologies, developed communities, they're just scratching the surface of all the things that could be done with virtual world technologies, because again, virtual worlds are just at the most a quarter of all the things that could be out there. And the things we talked about yesterday, there are things like augmented reality, mirror worlds, life logging, and I think the real exciting stuff will be things that develop over the next 3 to 5 years that really do combine more than one aspect of these things and start to get used in ways that none of us could really anticipate today.
What concerns you about the technology?
What concerns me is that, it could all get killed very young. Not so much from a technology standpoint, but from the standpoint of legal regulations and real world laws and restrictions and taxes and all of these things that nobody wants to deal with, but we all know that they're out there and they're issues that are going to have to be addressed at some point. I am worried that if they're not addressed properly and by the right people, if there's too much interference from people outside the industry who don't understand the changes that are going on, that it could all get shut down quickly.
What do you think is going to be the most surprising impact of metaverse technology
a decade from now?
Choose your time horizon.
A decade is a long time in terms of how fast things change. In 3 to 5 years, I think the biggest impact is going to be how much it's used in day-to-day work environments. From a longer term, I think it'll be how the generation that's grown up with it, using it as kids or as teenagers, when they get to universities or when they get out of high school and university and they get into the workforce, how they want to bring all of the ways that they're used to interacting with the people around them, how they want to bring that into a work environment is going to be interesting. So I think the short term is going to be much more about the things we're talking about today: collaboration, remote work, mobility, and so on. The long term is really going to be a full-scale shift of not only of the workspace but of the social space. It'd be really interesting to see what a teenager who grew up on Habbo Hotel today is going to be, how they're going to be working and how they're going to be interacting 10 years from now.
Last question. What barriers will metaverse technology never overcome?
Body language. I think that's really, really difficult to replicate. Photorealism is tough, but I could see that happening at some point. Now, body language, I think, and kind of unspoken cues in communication are really the tougher challenges, I think.